This is yet another jeans upcycle slash fix. This is a pair of jeans for my 6-year-old. The knee on these was completely blown out from side seam to side seam. So we are turning these into shorts. These ones I have cut a little bit longer. They have about a 7-inch inseam. So on a 6-year-old, that's going to be more like a Bermuda length. And since this one is a very girly girl, I thought we would add a little more girly girl to this. So I have already cut and pressed my hem. If you wanted more information on this, you can watch my other video where I do a cut frayed hem on jeans. This will be the same concept, only this time I am adding some lace. Just 'cause. Okay, so I have an excess amount of this really very cheap lace. I think it came in some kind of a bulk grab bag kind of a thing from I don't know how long ago, but I've had it forever and it's, I don't know, cheap, but it will look cute here and it's a good use for it. If you don't already know this, lace does have a wrong side and a right side. If you look closely, the back side of it will not have texture. There will not be any raised parts. It's mostly flat. If you look at the front, you'll see that there is raised stitching and detail that make it more three-dimensional. And that is true of most lace. This lace is very slightly gathered and bound with a net, kind of a bias tape. Alright, so it's going to look like I have poked this down in a lot further than I really have. So underneath this turned up hem, I have poked the lace down in so that maybe only 1/4 of an inch of this total amount of lace is showing. But the reason I have poked it down in that far is because I want it to fray and then have the lace also show behind the fray. So I will be sewing about 1/4 inch down from the edge of the denim to secure my hem, and then I will clip like I did in my other video so that it will more evenly fray without any of the long strings that are very common when you start fraying on denim. This lace will work even though it is not really a stretch lace. It has a little bit of give to it, not a lot. But this denim, while it is considered a stretch denim, it is not very stretchy. I mean, it has like a 1% content, I would say, of spandex. Just enough for a little bit of comfort and fit. So you won't notice, you know, it won't have such a tight leg in contrast to the lace. They should be about the same stretch wise. I am putting the edges on the inseam, so I'm ending the 2 edges of lace on the inseam, and the way I'm doing this is to kind of hide the raw edge, so I'm curving it down into and then overlapping and curving this down also back behind, so it will look like this. You can kind of see how that is curved down. It takes care of the raw edges of the lace so nothing's coming unraveled. Should all be secured down in this seam which I stitched the hem up. Okay, so this is all pinned. I will finish pinning this side and we'll go ahead and stitch. And this time, this pair of jeans has a little more yellow tan color for the stitching. I'm going to go ahead and match that as close as what I have on hand, which is kind of a, it's a top stitch, heavier weight thread. That's a pretty good match It won't be enough to notice, I don't think, that it's a little off. And then just a regular blue thread for my bobbin. And once again, I will do a wobble stitch, even though this does not have a lot of stretch to this fabric, just so that it does have a little give and won't be popping that seam open if they move just right, or putting it on and off, or taking it on and off. It won't pop that seam. So I've got my machine set up for a really narrow zigzag with a stitch length of about 3. And that should take care of that. It won't look like a zigzag when you're done. It should look mostly like a straight stitch. If you were to look really close at the back especially, you'll notice that it is more of a zigzag. So I will go ahead and finish doing the lace pinning, and then I will stitch, and then I will clip. And obviously it won't be finished until after it's been washed a couple of times to get those frays going, but I will show you the finished look when this is done. It's all pinned. You can see how the lace is dropping down and crisscrossing over each other, so that the raw edges are going to be down below where I'll be stitching, and they'll be secured. Shouldn't come loose at all. And like I said, it looks like I've dropped it down a long ways, so not very much of it is visible, but by the time this frays, there should be the majority of the lace visible behind that fray, and just to give it a cute girly look, and because, you know, denim and lace. So I will sew this, and then we will look at it again after it's ready to clip, and we'll show you the finished project. As you can see, that thread matches pretty good. It's a little thinner thread, but it still is the right color, so it makes it look like it was supposed to be there. As you can see, once it's frayed, even if it frays clear down to that seam, the lace is secure and none of the binding is even visible, so it's a good amount of it stuck behind in there. Once again, be careful when you're sewing over the top of these side seams and inseam. That's a lot of fabric. This is a little stiffer denim because it doesn't have a blend. It's mostly cotton with just a tiny bit of lycra. It will, be at least 6 layers that you're going through when you get to those seams. So take them slow and give your machine a chance to get through, and make sure you have a sharp needle. And then I also, with this particular pair of pants, it was a straight leg. They might have even been boot cut. Anyway, the leg for the most part though is a lot straighter than like a legging or a jegging. So there wasn't a lot of gap between the bottom of this, where I cut it off, and the circumference of that, versus where it is when it's folded up. So I didn't have to do a lot of stretching, just maybe just a tiny bit to get those side seams and inseam to mostly line up. This one isn't exact, but it's close. It just looks a little neater if you can line those up. And now I will just go ahead and clip, just like I did in my other video. This is going to be a little more difficult because I need to make sure I don't clip into the lace, or the lace will be compromised and will start unraveling. So I'll probably kind of push it out like I am here before clipping, maybe even clip it while it's bent. I could even iron it down, and I may even do that. I iron it down and then clip, so that I'm for sure not clipping onto that lace. And then a couple washes later, it will be all frayed, and that should be a really cute look for summer. And it definitely does not look like it was, homemade or remade. And will be a good use of, in other ways, other than a blown out knee and a little bit of a faded bottom, a good use of a pair of jeans that still fit. And it's all about cost savings, so kids are expensive and you want to make use of whatever you can for as long as you can. So I just wanted to add on just this little clip at the end so you could see what this looks like after I've done my clips into that edge. And I just kind of started fraying it here so you could see, what the overall look's going to be. The washing machine does a lot better job of the fraying because it not only removes those threads that go crossways, but fluffs up the ones that remain, so you get that really nice fluffy fray. But you can kind of get an idea of what that's going to look like when it starts fraying. It should be really cute. And you know, you don't have to do the clipping. It will fray, you know, without that. I just like to clip it because it gets rid of those long strings. It seems like it does a more thorough job of fraying when it's clipped like that. It is very random. This is not perfect clipping. There's some that are wider, some that are thinner. Anywhere from, you know, maybe 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch across. And then leaving about 1/8 of an inch between the bottom of the clip and the thread, or the seam. And that seam will secure it so that the fraying can't go anywhere further than that. And that will take care of that. The other thing about doing it in the washing machine, and I usually do my fray things the first wash in with a batch of towels, like bath towels. I think it just kind of gives it a little more friction in there with the bath towels, and it seems like, especially in the dryer, they get really fluffy. And then after that, I would just send them through whatever, you know, the normal batch of clothes that I would wash for my kids, or, you know, whoever's clothes it is. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below, and I'll try to answer any questions. If you have more questions about this technique, the overall, you know, turning up and sewing the waffle stitch, if you check my other video for cutoffs, you'll see that it is much longer and more in-depth on how to do that and all the information there. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.